You don't beat movement players by trying to out-movement them. That's the fight they want. In this Crash Hardpoint game, their best guy was a top 5K VMP movement player. Lightweight, stim shots, sliding into every fight. He was a problem. And against my teammates, he was 21-4. But against me, he went 6-8. Not because my movement was better. It definitely wasn't. I was using a growl and I was trying to play this game a lot more controlled. The difference was fight selection. When I ran into him randomly, those fights were dangerous. When I was already set up on the route he wanted to use, his movement mattered a lot less. And that's why we ran away with this game. We won 150-44, and I only had 28 seconds of hill time. When I meet this guy at the same time with no setup, these fights are uncomfortable. He is slide peeking doorways, he's getting around corners fast, he's using the VMP, so fights get close and messy. That favors him. There are a couple 50-50s between him and me, and I win some and lose some. But that's not the plan. The more chaotic the fight gets, the more you are letting him use what he's good at. So I'm not chasing him around the map. I have to understand where he's going next. First big example is on P2. I spawned near the bottom side of the map toward Special Forces base, so I worked through the front yard to the high building. But then I noticed something important. We have a teammate on the point, and I have teammates spawning behind me. Odds are they're going to be coming through the front door. So instead of stacking onto the hill, I hop onto the dumpster wall, head glitch. And look who's sliding towards the door. But he's not looking at me. He's moving like he's trying to beat the person inside the hill, and because I'm already on the angle, his movement doesn't really matter the same way. From dumpster wall, I'm not trying to match his movement, I'm cutting off his route. That's how you slow down a fast movement player. Not by being faster, but having a vantage point with impact. If I close the route, the movement does not become pressure on the hill. The same idea shows up again as we transition to P4. I post up near the broken car, facing the routes from mid and the yard to the high building. When their top player comes sliding out, he's trying to attack a teammate. But because I'm already holding the route, I catch him before he can turn that movement into pressure. Then I stay in that area and keep cutting off players as they try to come through. And this spot turns out to be a great angle to hold against the yard and main road. I end up stacking 6 kills from that car before I move. And that is major off-point value. Those kills are protecting the route to the hill. We've said it before, if you are not on the point, your life still has to help the point. But on my next life, it also shows how you can get into trouble against strong movement players. I spawn behind the shop, I'm not set up, I have my spear out, and he comes flying in, slides by me, and takes me out. That's not what we're looking for. When I'm set up behind the car, he has to run into my fight. When I meet him randomly with no setup, his movement takes over. You have to understand which routes matter for each point, get there first, and know when the angle has done its job. Because once they know where you are, the value starts to drop. Here's an example of it on P5. I rotate early, but I don't sit directly on the point. I'm not trying to take a fair fight on the point. He's zipping up the stairs, I think it's a stim shot, and he's got his equalizers out. He flies to the point, but he never sees me. And since he runs past, he becomes a free kill and point control for my team. But here I make a mistake. I go back to that same spot, and this time he knows where I am. That's a good reminder. Prepared fights are powerful, but predictable fights are not. Sometimes the answer to better movement is not moving faster. It's getting there earlier and being more patient. That play changes the start of P5. Instead of him taking me out on the point with equalizers and controlling it for them, we stop it before it starts. Once a good player knows the angle, especially a fast player with a close-range gun, you can't assume the same setup is going to work twice. So this strategy is not about camping in one spot, and it's not about never touching the hill. We still need someone on there. One of my teammates had a minute 46 on the point, shout out to him. This worked because someone was playing the objective. But if your team has the point and the other team has a guy who can fly around the map and is winning almost every gunfight against your teammates, you've got to keep them under control. And in this game, that was my job. Here's one more big takeaway. When you're dealing with a strong movement player, you can usually recognize it early. Don't just keep taking random fights and hoping your movement keeps up with him. Pick your angles, use cover, watch the routes, create as many unfair fights as possible. Because movement is dangerous when you're in 50-50s. It's a lot less dangerous when you're already established. So don't chase the player. Control where he has to go next.
Good job.
If you want to learn how to make a bigger impact while playing off-point and hardpoint, click the video on your screen.